Should you trust an organization who wants to steal your property, call you a criminal, and turn you into a victim? Let's talk about that. Welcome back to the High Impact Flicks channel. Right about now is when we roll the intro. People ask me all the time, "Hey Brian, do you really use that keto elevate stuff and does it really work?" The answer is yes and yes. Never in my entire life have I lost body fat so quickly. Not even in my prime at 25, which is over 25 years ago. I'm approaching 54 this year. If you want to support the channel and do your health a favor, grab some with my link in the description. This was put out by Everytown today. You know who heads up Everytown. You know they care about you. You know they want to remove your guns. They want to steal your property from you for your safety. Here's what they say. If not for DC's strong gun safety laws, talking about the District of Criminals, if it wasn't for their strong gun safety laws, think about this, including the prohibition of open carry, the insurrection, because that's what it was. I mean, that's right on the same level as Pearl Harbor and 9/11, right? Camel Toe Harris. The insurrection could have been far, far deadlier. Guys, insurrectionists don't care about the laws because they have their mind focused on one thing: overturning and overthrowing the government who's making those laws. Why would they care about the laws? A true insurrectionist, basically, they're arguing against it being an insurrection, because if it was an insurrection, they would just go all criminal from the perspective of the state and come in there armed to the teeth and take what they wanted. But can you really call an unarmed insurrection in 2021 an insurrection? I mean, can you really call it that? So they're saying if it wasn't for the strong laws, can you imagine how much worse it would be? Okay, so let me get this straight. Criminals who don't obey laws, people who are viewed as criminals in the eyes of the state, if they're actually going to be the ones to overthrow government, they don't care about the other laws, but they care about gun laws, so they obeyed the gun laws to carry out their insurrection. Makes zero sense. This is Looney Tunes. I'm just waiting for Bugs Bunny to jump out and a laugh track to ensue. In 28 states, civilians can open carry loaded long guns around state capitals, and guess what? There isn't in 28 states. In places where you can actually carry those long guns in state capitals, there is no insurrection. So you have the absence of gun laws and no insurrection, and you have full-on gun laws with an insurrection. Sounds to me like somebody needs to be getting rid of some gun laws so we can keep from having an insurrection. It's so crazy. Listen to the logic. In DC, where we have strong gun laws, we had an insurrection. But can you imagine how much worse it would have been if we didn't have those gun laws? And in 28 states where you can carry pretty much any long gun you want to in the state capital, there is no insurrection. They're making the argument to get rid of gun laws and that what happened in DC wasn't, in fact, an insurrection. Good job, Everytown. Good job. And then they put this tweet out right here. Bottom line, armed right-wing extremism is on the rise, and we're taking this threat seriously. Add your name and send a clear message. I oppose armed extremism in my community. Guys, if you were really, really against armed extremism, if you were really, really serious about getting rid of this threat in your community, wouldn't you be wanting to abolish at least the federal government? If not the federal, state, and local governments, because they are the armed extremists who aren't serving and protecting, but they're harassing and collecting from the rest of us in the name of public safety. That's extremism. So if you were really against armed extremism, you would be getting rid of the people who are really extremists, who are really jeopardizing public safety, who are really against freedom, who are really against our democracy, and that's the Fed, state, and local authorities, who are armed to the teeth, I might add, and have the backing of the military-industrial complex. Hey, disarm. But Everytown is not interested in disarming them because they're really not interested
in disarming the federal government. They're interested in empowering the federal government and making the rest of us victims. That's what Everytown USA is all about. It's not about the children. They had a tweet here. Let me see. I think it was just in the last couple of days. Yeah, here we go. Firearms are the leading cause of death. Let's just read that the way it should be read, because firearms are merely inanimate objects. So Everytown USA says inanimate objects are the leading cause of death for children. Inanimate objects are the leading cause of death for children and teens age 1 through 19 in the U.S. When will enough be enough? In other words, when will we be able to go in there and legally steal private property, the private property of gun owners, so that we can make everybody else more safe, which historically never happens. And if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. A future free from gun violence, which is another euphemistic term. There's no such thing as gun violence. It's people who cause violence, not inanimate objects, is possible and worth fighting for. Join us in the fight. The fight for what? The fight against your freedoms. The fight for tyranny. An armed society has always been and will always be a polite society. They know this. They just don't want you to be armed. They want the feds to be armed. They want local law enforcement to be armed. They want the state authorities to be armed, but they don't want you to be armed. And that's for their convenience. Guys, we already know that they want to decimate the dollar, destroy the economy, bring us into a cashless society, and eventually make it difficult for us to even get food. That's why I constantly promote My Patriot Supply. Every chance I get, I turn my fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. This stuff is awesome. It's got a 25-year shelf life. And one thing we're all going to need is storable food. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. With my link in the description, you get $100 off of every order instantly. It'd be a good idea to order it while you can, because I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to ship this out. My link for your $100 off discount is in the description below.